Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm Harvey Freed. She's Becky Alley.
What is going on? Happy Saturday. I heard a rumor that Summer might be visiting this weekend.
Oh my, it's beautiful outside here in Metro Detroit. Welcome everyone aboard our show here. We've got lots to share with you. We brought in, of course, as we always bring in all the great professionals. Sandra Beshany. Sandra, you are my new favorite real estate agent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
She's so great. Anyway, she's with Dobie Real Estate.
Yes.
And I love getting over there and seeing Simon every once in a while. We finally have one closing together next week. That's going to be a blast.
We're excited in Birmingham, Michigan. Yes.
Yeah. That house actually, and we'll Nancy, we're going to get to you in a second here. That house is unbelievable in Beverly Hills. The market
And you got it to appraise over ask, which is amazing these
know.
days.
People are overbidding and doing all those fancy things. And meanwhile, we got an appraisal that came in over the purchase price. And that's great news.
It's just great news for the buyer because she's already got equity before she's even done anything. So it's amazing.
Home ownership's great. Natalie Sater, our divorce attorney, you're joining us this morning. Hey, Naz, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. And of course, high-powered attorneys are in the office here. And again, if you're thinking about maybe getting divorced or something, you got to call the attorneys, just like home ownership, Becky. You got to prepare yourself for things. I mean, families just go into some things and they cause themselves and they cause a lot of family wealth to go out the window, just not by being prepared for it.
Yeah, like I know what I know and I know what I don't know, but I know where to go to the people that know what I don't know, right? And that's what makes you an educated person, right? Is you don't have to know everything, you just have to know where the answers are. And you know, right now there are we deal with a lot of the divorce situations, you know, speaking about what you're buying, you're selling, what is the best? Can I buy before I'm actually legally divorced, right? There's all these things that kind of come into play when it comes to stuff like that.
Absolutely. And divorce can be seen as a failure, but actually it's not. When my husband, he thinks it's not funny, but I do. And I think it's true. When people ask me, what do? I make people happy. If you're in an unhappy marriage and you need to get out, divorce is your only way to do it. And I'm not here to say, like, listen, let's put marriages aside, but getting out and getting divorced and moving on is a new beginning. And so in many ways, Sandra and I work together in helping people get happy. You move on, taking a stressful situation, a divorce, and a moving and turning it into a better life. So.
Yeah, I feel like it's like ego a little bit, right? You know, you have that, like, no one sets out to marriage to fail, right? And no one wants to, you don't start something with the idea of failing, but if it's not working, you need to change directions, right? You're one decision away from a completely different life. You can start over as many times as you need to, even when you're on home ownership, right? You're looking at the same house. If it's not working for you, that price point, you got to move on, or maybe you got to bump up that purchase price. You have to make these little granular changes for a completely different life for the better.
Yeah. And I feel like when you are unhappy, I mean, why live like that? Why and live together, right? And you can, I mean, some people do it, but you don't have to do it. And Nasli helps you with that. And then I come in and we kind of divide the assets and we help you move along and help you do that kind of stuff.
When Sandra said that, Naz, you know what I'm thinking is immediately, like, a lot of times maybe people can't be together anymore, but by separating and moving on with their lives, it's better for the children. It's better for themselves. You move on, you get another crack you get another at bat.
Absolutely. And Sandra and I are both products of divorces and successfully moving on and successfully being happy in our lives. And so I think we bring something to the table together that, we have empathy for people who have been through that. If I may say, we met during a stressful situation. And, I think we're both very happy now. And, Sandra has also helped a number of my clients moving on. But I want to tell a Sandra story. Just
go for it. Yeah, lay it on.
This is the kind of agent that you want to have working. So I have a client who's in town looking for a place to live. And I told Sandra she's already working with someone else. And, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to, refer her. And she asked who it was. And she said, oh, my God, I love her agent. I was just texting with her this morning. What's the price point? And by the time I got back to my office, she had already sent me listings for my client who is not her client. And that's the kind of agent you want to have working.
Thank you.
Yeah, forward thinking.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't have to always be like oh, I'm not going to get the sale or she's not working with me. But I wanted Nosley to see a couple of the homes that she could kind of help her client move along. You know, maybe her agent didn't show it. I don't have to get the sale, but I love to help. You have to be genuine about it.
It's crazy how these two industries, so you got real estate and, attorneys in general, but of course, there's real estate attorneys, there's divorce attorneys. It all meshes together and it comes together. And when we're talking about happiness here, again, it's everything in life, raising kids, having a house, sense of community, all these good things. If it gets a little sour, you can change it up. And like as Becky was saying, you constantly are going after the same houses. Sometimes you need to change cities even.
Yes.
The location of the house. There are just so many things that you can change in your life, and you need a little bit of confidence. You need that professional help to guide you. And I like how you're reaching out. Sandra wasn't even working with this person. She wanted to help.
Yeah.
We're helpers. We're like waiters. We
Yeah,
do
you have
it
to
all.
you have to have a servant's heart. You have to have a servant's
well
heart.
said.
You're
That's
not
well said.
you're not selling, you're helping, you're educating, you're serving, and you're helping people see things that they can't see for themselves. A lot of times buyers, when they're going through the process, they get really frustrated because they don't do this every day, right? So if you ask them for a pay stub and if they don't understand technology, it is like asking them to like chop off their right hand, right? And it's nothing that has to do with me or you. It just has the fact that technology is the issue, but we have to constantly just have that empathy, right? There is such a lack of empathy in the world right now, but the truth is that we see them at the closing table when they don't see it for themselves. Like we already see it at the end, and it's about marching down the field to get them there is really what's key. But having that empathetic heart, because we've been there before, we've done this, I've bought and sold houses, I've been through, troubled times. And when you can kind of approach someone from a moment of, I remember what that felt like, they can feel that from you. And that's probably why you're 100% referral based, because
Yes.
you're not selling someone. You are literally, it's not even just the long game. It's just, I'm going to get you here, whether it's an hour later
Well,
or
when you
5 minutes
walk
from
in
now.
their shoes,
Yeah.
you can feel their pain, and you remember how scared you feel when you are gonna but any life change, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's marriage, whether it's divorce, whether it's good, whatever life change is happening, it's always a little scary. So when you kind of have done it, you kind of say, okay, don't worry, I'm going to hold your hand through this. Either way, I mean, I have clients that are first-time home buyers, just got married, getting divorced, getting married, moving here, relocating. Everything is scary coming to a new place. So you have to see where they're coming from with those eyes. And when you do, you treat it like it's your own. And especially when you work with, let's say, Nosley, and they are going, and divorce is even scarier, right? That's a huge change, right? So, and then, Nosley works so close and intimately with her clients that when she does send them to me, they know that they are going to be taken care of. And that's the beauty of, when you do work with a divorce attorney, that's not just trying to file motions and spend your money, and that someone's going to really look out for you. And it means a lot, because when I went through my divorce, it's the scariest time of my life. And look, 7-8 years later, we're still sitting here together, still doing work together. Because it was a beautiful, it really turned out to be a beautiful thing, even though it was a scary thing at the time.
That moment, indecision is a personal prison, in my opinion, right? And then when you're right on that brink of, I have to make a change, I don't envy anyone in that position, whether it's you're in a bad housing situation, right? Or your bad relationship, whether it's personal, marriage, business relationship, right? You're in that, it takes such guts and courage to take that step forward of just a leap of faith of this isn't working and I'm going to change, right? Because it's what is it, the devil I know or the devil that I don't know, right? And you struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with that.
It's absolutely, it's the decision to file for divorce. It's like jumping in a pool of cold water. Is it too bad to leave? Too bad to stay, too good to leave? I don't know. It's you can go back and forth for years. But once you make that decision, I think it's really important to have the professionals who are going to guide you through it. You're at point A and you want to get to point B. So you want a divorce lawyer who's going to get you there going as straight a line as possible rather than zigzag. You can zigzag your way there, but it depends on the professional you hire. And it's the same with the real estate agent you hire. Someone who knows what they're doing and they're working in tandem with your divorce lawyer. We can help guide you through the process, get you from point A to point B in the easiest way possible, And then, have kind of like a multidisciplinary team, I call it.
We take your calls all morning long at 248-539-9797. Again, if you're thinking about buying a house, you've got to be pre-approved. If you're thinking about divorce, might be something that's down the road for your situation. Again, a lot of times that bad situation turns really good. Sandra, you and I, I'm raising my hand here. I was divorced some time ago. Just traveled with my ex-wife and my girlfriend together. It's
cool.
so nice when you get away from the crazy and you can go live your life in peace and harmony. At one time, you love that person. You might have children with them, Naz. You got the house with them. There's a lot of moving parts here.
You're going to have children. You're going to have weddings. You're going to have a lot of things that come up. And you need to get from point A to point B and get your team together to help you get there.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We'll take your calls again all morning long at 248-539-9797. Let's dive into a little bit of stuff about housing and stuff. One of the things is we know, Becky and I, when we're qualifying people, we find out, look, they're going to, the lady, let's just say in this case, that one of the spouses is going to keep the house. That spouse needs to qualify for the mortgage. And one of the items is using the child support or the alimony as income. Again, maybe it was a stay-home parent at the time. It could have been a stay-home dad. We see more and more of that. It's not always a stay-home mother anymore. It's both. Yeah. And just getting those families prepared. Sandra and I have a program in our professionalism. We put a program together that we do a lot of the services for free up front.
Yes.
And that's been really helpful for a lot of families, just dipping their toes into it. Hey, before I even talk to my divorce attorney, do I qualify to keep this house and things of that nature?
Yeah, that's key. That's key.
Do you think, Harvey, it's best to talk to your divorce attorney first before you even...
yeah.
Even if you're not divorced or if you're thinking about it.
Why not?
I think it's a little bit of both. I feel like and when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about this, but I do think it's a little bit of both. You have to be tandem. You have to be one and the same, so that way we know which way we're going, but then we have to make sure we're taking the proper legal action. So let's get into that when we come back.
All right. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Now what happens?
Welcome back to
Mark
the
just
show.
said
It
it's
is the
hard to hear
Hardcore
Nas.
Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again,
Hard to
brought to you
hear
by
Nas.
Capital Mortgage Funding
you need to get
and
answer that.
CMG Home Loans. I made a mistake there. NMLS 1820 Equal Housing Lender. You can reach us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283 right here in Oakland County. Capital Mortgage has been around for over 34 years. When it comes to getting a mortgage, getting pre-approved, you got to have the professionals helping you. We'll get you all set up for success. Bringing some great people this morning, Sandra. Bethany over top producer of Adobe Real Estate and divorce attorney Nasli
Snaps
Sater
for
with
being top producer.
the Warner Law offices. Yeah, I got a bunch of top producers in here. Becky too. Having high-end people in your life, it is very important. And folks, you can get opinions from everybody, but having the real, true facts, setting yourself up for success, Becky. And when we talk about pre-approving people, this is something that comes up all the time with divorce.
Yeah, it's I'm actually dealing with 2 or 3 right now where there's possibly a divorce in the horizon, or we're waiting for the final divorce decree.
Yep.
And it's a matter of, can I buy before I'm legally divorced? And the answer is yes, you can. But you have to make sure that you are full on, eyes open. What is the ramifications if you are purchasing before you're divorced, and your spouse, if they have a change of heart, can they go after that new property, right? These are all things that you have to have in line before you're divorced, if that's going to be a situation. We also need to know the spousal support. Is there child support? We have to properly qualify someone. And Harvey mentioned it in the first segment, just to touch on it, and I'm going to reel in our guests on this because I know I can see their eyes lighten up because this is their wheelhouse. Yes. But if you are paying child support or receiving child support, you can use that as income if you're receiving it, but we have to have 6 months proof of receipt. It can't be day one on the mortgage side. We have to show a continuation, and we have to show they've received at least 6 months, because unfortunately, sometimes because you're receiving child support on paper doesn't mean you're actually really getting it. So that's why we have to have that 6 months of proof.
Let's talk about the separation agreement.
Yeah.
That comes up a lot. So when maybe the cooler heads prevail, let's say, and they say, look, we've got 3 kids in the school district. We want to keep them here. I'm going to buy a house over here. You can do a separation agreement prior to a divorce. Again, it's all signed by the courts, allowing one of the spouses to go ahead and purchase that house. It helps their family.
Absolutely. I mean, you can plan this as a family solution. We've got kids. We want to be within 2 miles of each other so we can exchange them for parenting. And you can do all of that before a divorce, as long as you have attorneys who are working well together and parties who are working well. But even before I'll file a complaint and a client wants to know, will I qualify? We can all, as divorce lawyers, run numbers for you and say, okay, work with your agent and start to look to sort of take the concern element out of it. Because it's effectively in a divorce, you're dividing yourself in half and you're paying somebody to do it. So what we want to do is sort of take the unknown out of it, and we can start early in the process in doing that for you.
You know what? You guys carry on. We're going to move your mic over to here. I'm going to just switch you here. You guys.
Oh, yeah. So sometimes we talk about sometimes you have to buy someone out of your life, right? You have to buy someone out of your life, professionally sometimes and personally sometimes. And sometimes you got to buy yourself out of the landlord life that you're in right now, right? Because at some point in time, a lot of our clients, first-time home buyers, they are going through it right now. And I want you to kind of, what are your experience with the first-time home buyers? Because the market is being extremely competitive right now. And, some of my first-time buyers, they're feeling a little bit of that buyer fatigue already, and we're just now kicking it off with the home buyer season. So are you seeing where buyers are getting a little frustrated right now, or are they still kind of hanging in there right now?
Buyers are actually, it is becoming spring crazy time, which is amazing. But buyers are getting a little, in the price point from 200 to 400, it is a little frustrating because it's multi-offer situation. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to get the house. You might have to pay. There's just a lot going on in the $200,000 to $400,000 price point. From the 500 to 900 is also, people would think that it's not, but from 500 to 900, it's crazy as well. And I try to really prep my buyers to, if they like a house, they need to act now. They have to act fast. They have to act now. And I know the interest rates are a little bit higher right now. Yes, they are. However, you can date the rate and marry the house, because when they come down, you can literally go back and bring them refinance. But the house, if you really do love this house, you really do have to act fast. And I try to kind of prep them and know what to expect, because if they're haven't bought a house in a while, they don't know. You find a house and they kind of feel pressure a little bit, but then once they get it and they're happy about it, they're so excited. But yes, it is a little like when they're going through it, and it's a fast moving.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I talk about, like just divorce rent for good if you can, right? And we often talk about, now's a great time, right? Well, we're speaking to the people where now's the right time for them, right?
Yes.
When it is right for you. And if you're in a moment where you're seeing yourself wanting to move or sell or, stop renting now in the next year, you have to have the conversations right now, because the days of, let's just say someone bought a house 10 years ago, the day of I'm going to look at the house first, then get pre-approved, then do all the things, you're done. You already lost the house. As soon as you see it online, it's expired, right? It's like, it's old.
I love the date the house. What is it? Date the rate and marry the house. It's great.
And divorce rent.
Expression.
And divorce rent for good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's true. Well, people are like some people sit on the sidelines and they're like, well, I'm going to wait until interest rates go down. But the problem is, once interest rates go down, the market's going to get flooded again. And people are going to be, it's going to be $100,000 over ask again, like it was a year or two ago. And the price is a better price right now for a house.
Yeah. I describe it to our buyers where you're securing the price of the home.
Yes.
That is the focus.
Yes.
Because we can always adjust the interest rate when it moves, and we're going to slide down with that interest rate where you can refinance as many times as needed, as long as you're putting yourself in a lateral position. I bought my house in 2018. At that time, the rates were low fives, I should say. And then we all know what happened in 20, right? So I refinanced in 19 as they came down, and I refinanced again in 20, and I shortened my term. I put myself in a lateral position. So as long as you're with the right team of people, it makes sense, because your home is one of your biggest assets. And if you utilize that equity in the right way, you're going to be putting yourself in a perfect position later on, because if you can afford the house now, you're definitely going to be able to afford the house later.
All right, guys, we're going to take all your calls here. 9:22 on a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend here in Southeast Michigan. 248-539-9797. No doubt sellers' confidence is high as profits are even higher. That's fine, but if you're trying to downsize, that's a little bit more difficult, because those profits that you just made on that great house, they go right back into today's marketplace. And I like how you said even that $600,000-$700,000 price range. Just think about this, folks. A $600,000 house, if the value goes up 10%, now it's $660,000 in 2025.
Yes.
And if it goes up another 5 or 10%, now you're at maybe 720.
Yep.
You can't wait. You got to get in today's market. And Becky, one of the things we realize, and Sandra, no doubt, on the real estate side of things, it's really affordable here in Michigan. Again, you have a place down in Florida.
Yes.
I won't give away the city, but it sounds like it rhymes with maples.
Yeah.
But something like that down there.
Maples.
But even down there, like my cousin, I'll throw my cousin Robbie out there.
Yeah.
He bought down there at probably maybe $500,500. They're selling for $850 now.
If you bought in 2020,
Yeah.
you did well. Anything after, it went up like double.
Right. When did you guys
my
buy
house
yours?
is double what I pay. It's worth double.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
What did you get from 18? From
18.
2018?
Yeah, it's worth double.
Anything after the pandemic just literally doubled.
Yeah,
Multiple offers,
Yes.
bidding wars down
Bidding
there
wars
in Florida.
In
Yeah.
Florida.
And even
Yes.
at 5% appreciation on $400,000, you're still looking at $20,000. That's $420 next year. The year after that, now your house is worth $450 to $460.
Oh, totally.
You got to get into the game here and get
Yeah.
that roof on
Well,
your
the
house.
longer that you wait, the worse it is. Because the same house that you've been looking at, let's just say, for example, was $400,000 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's like $550,000. The same house.
Yeah.
So if you're just sitting and waiting, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the rates to drop. No,
Right.
stop it.
Right.
Right.
It's not happening.
Jump in.
Yes.
Jump in and do it.
Yeah. Even though it is, you feel like, oh, it's 7. It's a little. It's just going up. And when people tell me, oh, the market's gonna drop, it's not. And I've been hearing this forever, and it just hasn't. And it's just not dropping.
Yeah. So I would say right now a good point would be prepare for bidding wars.
Yes.
Right. We are just kicking off the spring market.
Yes.
It is. And what we're talking about is we're still looking at least like even being conservative. I mean, there are talks where you're going to get 10% appreciation. So even if you go conservative at 5, okay, that's fine. But you have to determine your maximum price point in the beginning of the conversation. I'm a very big advocate for living under your means and even at your means, because
Yes.
sometimes life happens, right? There's more to home ownership than just I got the house and secured the offer, right? You have maintenance, you have lawn, you have landscaping.
Yeah.
If you're doing new construction, your taxes, they're going to change, right? It's having there's a lot that goes into home ownership. So that's why I'm very big on, let's determine what your maximum is, but also what are you comfortable with? And you can't start the conversation sooner when it comes to that. And I know Harvey is amazing with walking his clients through those details, but rate is just a piece of it. It's not all of it. And we need to make sure that everyone is getting
Well,
set
the
up for
problem
success.
is the media hypes it up so much, and then they get people hung up on it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because it's really not, like you said, it's a piece of it. It's not everything.
And the truth is that the payment, more times than not, so on this side of the fence,
Yes.
it's not the payment that's the issue.
No.
It is, where's the money, honey? That's where's it coming
Yes.
from, right? That is
Yes.
the biggest issue. And right now, there's more first-time home buyer programs, or even if you're not a first-time buyer, there's more programs out there to help individuals get into these houses, because that's not the issue. I can quickly identify if you're paying $2,000 in rent, I can find you a house for $2,000, but where is that money coming from? Because people have been so thin that they have not been saving properly, or they are saving, but they got it in their ceiling tiles and they're safe. They don't have it in the bank, right? So it's, cash is not king when you're buying a house with financing. You have to have everything documented.
True.
248-539-9797. Sorry, let's go throw this divorce a little bit in there again. Divorce, what happens? Why do attorneys put language into agreement that sometimes falls on deaf ears? When we come back, there's a music playing. When we come back, we're going to go to that a little bit. I read a lot of divorce decrees. It says my ex-wife's supposed to refinance and get my name off this 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Guy's still making payments on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
I love this.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by CMG Home Loans. You can call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Of course, we always take your calls here live in the studio, 248-539-9797. Sandra joins us, of course, from Dobie Real Estate. Nasli from the divorce attorney law firm. It's Warner,
Norcross, and Judd. Yep.
Okay.
That's me.
Fantastic. You can catch those guys all in the Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills area. Again, you want some classy people, professionals. You pay for what you get. We're going to also talk about that
You
today.
do get what you pay for it.
You always, instead of clicking buttons.
You can't cheap out on certain things.
We got a call off the air, and I think it was a social media call, and I didn't get any details on that. But Sandra, what's going on in the world right now? I find that a lot of families and people, individuals, are clicking buttons, and then when they finally get to us, they're not prepared. And it's like, how do we separate this? How do we use like social media to direct people to the greatest people? I see it all the time. Hey, call me. I'm the expert. First time I can tell by their NMLS number. They're brand new to the industry. We can tell by your real estate agent.
Right.
If you're brand new, nothing wrong with starting off.
No.
But experience comes with a lot.
Experience really does matter, because I've been doing real estate for 14 years now, and I, through my experience, have seen so much, and really every deal is so different, and every deal lends itself, and every deal do I learn something new, and every deal do I pull something to work on the next deal or really help people navigate. You know, real estate right now, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. And especially what's going on with NAR and the new buyer's agency, which is a lot of people, first of all, people didn't know anything about it, were confused about it to begin with. And now the media's hyped it so much that they don't even, wait, so a buyer's agent, I don't have to pay one. Oh, I get it. You know,
They did a disservice by jumping the gun like that, because
did a disservice to buyers or to the whole real estate industry in general, because now everyone's just confused. Like, what's happening? They just changed
like, I don't have to pay you. No,
Right.
that's not what we're saying at all.
No,
Yes.
no, because no one works for free, and you want a buyer's agent to help you navigate. You know, marriage is a business, divorce is a business, and buying your home is a business. And you really, really want to make sure that when you are buying your home, you are educated. Someone's helping you navigate through that whole thing. You know, like Harvey, you just mentioned I have a home in Florida. Well, I am not licensed yet in Florida, so I'm a Michigan agent here for 14 years, and I bought a home in Florida, and I need a buyer's agent, and she helped me navigate what's the good location. I didn't know anything about their inspection situation. They have a whole different set. I mean, I would have never been able to do that on my own. And you can really, if you think you're saving any money, you're really going to be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars if you don't know how to, you know, what if you do an inspection on your own and you're looking for the listing agent to guide you, and you have mold or the foundation isn't good, and in 5 years you're having a $200,000 problem because you didn't hire an agent to help you navigate through that whole process.
You got to have feet on the ground for sure, Becky.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, so like we are experienced professionals creating unique experience for each individual buyer.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
It is the same thing, but different each and every time. And you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't have proper representation, like you're talking about, right? It's like a car. You drive it off the lot, you own it. You break, you buy. And once you own a home, if you don't do a private home inspection, even because you're trying to save $500, okay, and I'm not saying that's not a lot of money to some people. I respect the fact that money is tight, and I'm empathetic to that. But at the same time, you need peace of mind. If you are buying a home, you have to make sure that it has good bones. So, and Harvey is huge on the sewer line scope, because that is such an issue. Or people are flushing the baby wipes down the toilets, and then all of a sudden you have to jack up all your cement in your driveway. These are things that are huge costs that you have to face if you are not doing your proper due diligence at the beginning.
Even if you do an inspection and you're not being represented properly, do you think the listing agent's going to tell you, hey, you know, this might be a $30,000 problem and this is going to be a no, they're working for their seller. They're not working for you.
The truth is, okay, so listing agent, right? Their fiduciary duty is to the seller. And Michigan is one of the few states that still allow dual agency.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yes. Which dual agency is great.
Yes.
It's great. Being a dual agent, if you can navigate through it and really work for both sides, it can be a beautiful thing. You just need to know how how to navigate through it. And you need to have someone that really knows what they're doing.
All right, I want to get in trouble here, but I had a new agent and I got the purchase agreement. My clients have been looking for a vacation home for 5 years. They finally found one. It was 2 weeks ago. I was a little concerned. The purchase agreement said it had to close on June 6th. I knew there was Memorial Day. I'm hustling on the file, get everything moving forward. Sure enough, the well and the septic are losers. It's not happening. In the whole subdivision, they're fighting it. They don't want to hook up to the city water. It's an older community. It's a lake area. And the deal's dead now. But not only is it dead, because I'm not going to go down this bad road, but I'm going to say this. Had the clients just, Becky, done the sewer line, the septic and the well inspection, they would have been out $500. But we did the well and septic, the above ground inspection, and the appraisal. They're out $1,400 or walking away from the transaction. I can help them eat the appraisal cost maybe on the next one, but all of this money. And deep down, I hope the real estate agent, well, you can call me if she's listening to the show anyways. She was sort of, like, hey, are we going to be able to get this done on time? Don't worry about your time and you showing up to the pay window to get paid, Mr. and Mrs. Real Estate Agent.
Right.
They walked away from the deal. Now you're getting nothing and you're back on the road because all you needed to do is probably do the septic test first. And it turns out, again, this is an 80-year-old house. It's all failed stuff. Go ahead, Naz, you want to jump in?
No, doesn't it come back to you get what you pay for?
Always.
So here you are, you're looking for a place in Florida. I mean, we were in that place 9 years ago, looking for a place, don't know the area, but want a vacation home. A really good agent can guide you in the right place. Get you to, no, you don't want to buy this neighborhood. You want to buy
exactly
like a quarter mile away in this neighborhood. I've got a client right now who's looking for a house. And I said to her, being a divorce lawyer in the Oakland County area, I feel like a taxi driver. I know somebody comes in and says like what street they live on. I'm like, oh, I know where you are.
Right.
I know what school goes with that. And so a good agent can help guide you and make those decisions.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I say
So you get what you pay for.
That's huge, Naz. You just
We're
said
the
something small.
backseat
It's
drivers
huge.
that talk. Yes. I'm a backseat driver that's going to talk a lot, right? It's your decision ultimately if you turn right or left, right? But if you turn right, we're like smooth sailing, right? But if you go left, we might be feeling like we're driving stick shift for the first time, right? It might be a little herky-jerky.
Absolutely.
No doubt, guys. Builders are finishing more and more homes, but the permits for them were a little flat. The latest data shows new residential construction in the U.S. paints a somewhat mixed picture of the housing market. While housing completion surged in April, the starts are a little slower, but hey, there's some great new construction right here in our backyard.
Yes.
And you've got one of those gorgeous homes listed.
I do. I'm so excited about it. We have a new listing coming up in Birmingham, 591 Catalpa. It's new construction, Lynch Custom Homes.
They do great stuff.
Oh my goodness, Lynch Custom. Everything has such character and quality and craftsmanship. It's unbelievable. Jeffrey King is the interior designer for it. Lower levels finished. Exterior is gorgeous. There's literally bring your clothes and move in. It is stunning.
When's the completion date on that one?
We will be complete in about a week.
Wow.
Yes.
So a new construction. It's already on the market.
It's not on the market yet.
Okay, so they're going to wait to finish it up.
We're going to wait to finish it up. We're going to have a huge open house party June 6th from 5 to 8 if anyone wants to come and check it out.
All right, let's go.
We can also privately show it to you if you want to see it sooner because I don't think it's going to be on the market long because this house is so effing cool. It has a fence the fence is custom. He made it himself. It's so cool the way that this guy does all his work. It's just beautiful. Not like a regular builder, not like a cookie cutter builder.
Yeah, like stock.
No, it's
That's
just
a great
gorgeous.
street too.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
What's the
really
price point
great
of it?
street.
What's the price point is 2249.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
that's that market right over there. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's families. You're right across from Pierce Elementary. It's just such a cool area. Walkable. It's a corner lot. It's just going to be, I'm so excited for it coming up.
I'm excited for new construction coming back with a vengeance a little bit because obviously there just wasn't enough homes built over the last 10 years.
No.
I mean, that's just a fact. And people are aging in place, right? They're not moving. And sometimes there's false inventory because grandma's selling to, like their next of kin kind of thing. So you're not really seeing some of that inventory, right? So new construction coming up is really going to be key to getting some of these new buyers coming into the market that are going right into, I'm graduating college, I'm right into that $500,000 price point, for example.
Yes.
And we need a little bit in that range for new construction as well to really kind of tip these scales.
Yes, we do. We do. And I mean, new construction is such a beautiful thing. I mean, but buying the dirt to get the new construction
Yeah.
has been a little hard lately because
Everyone wants
Yeah.
it.
everybody wants it. Sellers aren't, the price of dirt is just gone up so much to get the lot.
Isn't it wild when you think about that?
Oh.
Just like the evolution that we have seen in Michigan, even over the last 5 years, right?
Yes.
Has just been so insane. And, there's like some low key stuff going on under the radars, right? That there's a reason why, and I say this often, the investor doesn't care what the interest rate is because they're going to cash flow that property and someone else is going to buy it. But you have these major corporations that are coming in like little silent assassins, gobbling up so much of this real estate. Why? Because Michigan is extremely affordable. We are now no longer one of the best kept secrets. You can live, we have all 4 seasons. You can drive, a couple hours and be up north and feel like you're in the Caribbean if you're on Torch Lake, right? Michigan
Detroit is on fire now.
Yeah, Detroit is up and coming.
It's so cool down there now.
Yeah, I got my Detroit hat on
Yup,
because I'm
you do.
all about it.
Yeah.
But Michigan is amazing, right? And so be like, I don't like the cold. I like it. I like to snowboard, right? We have so much to offer here. And now the jig is up and people are coming in.
Oh, yeah, they're coming in
And so
masses.
you have to throw your hat in the ring if you do want to, own a home over the next 2-3 years. You have to be prepared. You have to have your finances in order and you have to budget. You have to save some money to buy these houses, even if you have a down payment assistance program.
Alrighty, guys, I am going to read this ticket text, even though we don't typically go there. I'm going to read it because it's foolish, and I want everyone to hear how some people think. How annoying can you be? ? You've been on the air for years, yet it's always the best time to buy. Boo-hoo me! It's always the best time to buy. Well, if you did buy a house, maybe you have some appreciation. And in fact, we know that the data suggests that anyone who bought a house in the last 5 years is sitting on a ton of equity. Again, this is a show
Yes.
about building wealth, putting a wonderful roof over your head, and living in a sense of community. When we come back, 248-539-9797. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Keep it here.
It's the best time to buy when it's for you.
All right.
Oh my God, I love it.
Alrighty, we are back, 9:44 here in all of Southeast Michigan. Yep, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by CMG Home Loans. That's where you can find Becky, myself, and our whole entire staff. You want to call the professionals at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Save on closing costs, get a great interest rate, have great communication through your transaction, and let us help guide you to this new purchase. Because I'll tell you, Becky, we're still getting those phone calls. We're still seeing some things blow up, some anger out there. Get prepared. Get that strong approval letter. Again, we run you all the way through the system, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, we're here to set you up for success. And speaking of success, before we run out of time, I want to say shout out to my parents. They're going to be married 45 years tomorrow. So we have a divorce attorney in the house, right? We're talking about things that go wrong, but sometimes things go right.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
There's
That is
four
beautiful.
of us. Yeah,
beautiful.
Congratulations.
I have
That's
two
beautiful.
sisters and a brother, and we lived in a bungalow with one bathroom. And my dad always says when it's his time to go on his headstone, he wants it to say, "Love is 6 people in one bathroom."
Oh my God, I love it.
So that's why, like, as we are now evolve into our own lives, we're like, there's a toilet seat for every butter in the house, right? Because it was so traumatic
Fantastic.
to get ready for that. So sometimes
do you
things fall
see
together.
that your parents, do you see that and say to yourself, that's what I want from, like, did you, when you growing up, did you see that and it really, their
I mean,
marriage?
so if I'm going to be candid,
Yes.
like, it set the bar very high
Yes.
for the standard of what you are looking for in a relationship, but also what I'm going to put out in a relationship. And it's not always about butterflies and that honeymoon, right? At some point in time, love isn't enough. It has to be the next is respect and loyalty, and who are you going to be devoted to? And if the end of the world is coming, who are you going to put in the rocket ship and send to the moon, right? Who do you love more than yourself? And watching
and who you admire
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
Like your spouse is
Yeah.
somebody you should admire, I feel.
Yeah, and my dad to this day, he literally, he's always like, "You want a sandwich, Sue?" He's like, he's,
That's
like
nice.
they set the
Yeah.
bar very high, and
Yeah.
I feel like, and even professionally, right, you have to set the bar very high, right, because you always have to get your standard, right,
Yes.
and you can't lower that standard for anybody.
No.
In love, in relationships, in your professional self, what your expectation is for your clients has to come through you, and they're going to feel that.
Hey, I got a great ticket text. Hey, I don't know why I'm reading these. We like your calls at 248-539-9797. Once in a while, there's a good ticket text. Good morning. I'd like to know what is the amount of money you would need to put down if you have down payment assistance. So, hey, thanks, Mark from Westland. We appreciate that. Becky, let's just dive in a little down payment assistance for a lot of our first-time home buyers. And again, to be a first-time home buyer, it just basically is you haven't owned a house, don't have your name on a title of a house for the last 3 years. Becky, down payment assistance. Talk about 2 programs that might help.
Okay, yeah. So you could have owned a house in 2020 or sold the house in 2020, and now you're born again, a first-time buyer. Okay, so it's the last 3 years. So we have a plethora of programs. One of the more biggest ones are through this Michigan Housing Development Authority, MISDA. Right now, you are getting $10,000 if you're buying in a targeted area, for example. So in Oakland County, it would be Southfield and Royal Oak Township. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. So I had a friend of mine recently divorced, starting over. She was able to capitalize on this $10,000, life-changing money to reset the baseline. We actually just rolled out effective, I think it's going to be the end of this month or first of this month. Or,
The 1%?
Yeah, the 1%.
Yeah.
So we have 1% down, first-time buyer, or you can get $6,000. You have the option, right? So it's either 1% down or $6,000. You can also piggyback this with other grant programs that we have to offer. So again, it's not the payment that's the issue, it's the funds for closing. But if you don't have enough money saved up in your mind as you think, call us.
Yeah.
Call us. Let's have a conversation, because more times than not, people think they don't qualify, and they really do. So one of the biggest first-time buyer mistakes that people make is they don't even try.
Got to
You
try.
have to try.
And Becky, now the MISDA program, of course, MSHDA, Michigan State Housing Development Authority, $224 purchase price, still a little on the lower side. That program's
They're
great.
changing that.
Yeah, they're going to
They're in
bump
the
that
process,
up a little bit, and we hear that's going to go up a little bit, and they'll probably increase a little bit of the loan limits. But generally speaking, a family of 2, the maximum income is
you're
about
in a
$95,000,
yeah, $95,500, yeah.
and then we see it up to $110,000, $114,000 for families of 3 and 4. So
Yeah.
you can get yourself some extra money. You need it nowadays, Sandra, because a lot of even these first-time home buyers, they might have 15 or 20,000, which in the olden days, prior to the pandemic, they could get into the house. They're approved. They have their funds to close, are ready to go. Now there's so much of this overbidding
Yes.
and going over asking. Now you need the state to give you the 10,000.
Well, for example, we get so many calls, like Zillow leads and calls and stuff, and they want to go see a house. And we say to them, "Are you pre-approved?" They're like, "No." but I think I want to see a house for 300,000. Like, well, how do you even know it's 300,000? Why don't you get pre-approved? Educate yourself. Really, get it doesn't hurt. It's not going to cost anything. Get pre-approved so you know what maybe it's really 400,000. Maybe it's 250. Know what the payment is so you know what you can afford, and then really have those tools in your hand. So when you're looking for a house, I can go, and maybe if it's 300, if it really is, and a house is 350, but it's all gutted and remodeled, and you want to go up a little bit more, instead of taking money out of your pocket, maybe in your mortgage, it's an extra $10 or something, or whatever, an extra 50 grand would be. And now your whole home is finished. But now you have the education to know what you can afford and not afford, because you have a pre-approval in your hand and you've been educated.
And
knowledge and education, Becky, go with it.
Yeah. And so the big thing too is we get a lot of conversations or questions about, well, what is my payment going to be if I go up $5,000, right? There's such this misconception that $5,000 is going to be this like blow your hair back amount of money to your payment. And it's not. For every $1,000, everybody, it affects your payment by, let's just say $7.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So because you're stretching it over 30 years. So think about that. So if you're going up $5,000, that's literally $30 to $35 extra to your payment for peace of mind and that finished basement that you might not have.
Right, that you don't have to come out of pocket. So instead of maybe you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can only afford this. And, you buy a house that needs all this work.
Right.
And instead of, there's two different things, mortgaged money and money out of pocket. So why not mortgage it and really maybe spend another $100 a month and get everything finished, instead of taking 200 grand or 100 grand out of your pocket to remodel everything.
That education piece is key.
The education
That's so key.
It's so key. And especially because like the interest rates are still like they are historically low. They're not like, I get a lot of calls for home equity lines of credit as well, right? So we do second mortgages as well. And those interest rates are 9-10%. And that's in alignment with what's happening, right? But your mortgage rate is in the high 6s, low 7s. That makes more sense to then finance it or refinance it later, because I know I finished there's nothing in my house that hasn't been touched. And originally I wanted a turnkey house, and somehow I got a good deal on a fixer-upper. So everything has been touched. Fine. Okay. But hindsight 2020, I would have been better off buying that house that was already that turnkey, in my opinion.
Spend the extra 50, 60, and then you might have had an extra 100 in your pocket today.
And just the time and the energy spent in remodeling or doing, like when you just want to work or you travel, like remodeling is a lot of work, and I just feel like people if they don't educate, like they want to look at a house and they haven't even, been pre-approved yet. So I'm like, no, go get pre-approved first. So you know for yourself what you can afford and what you can't afford. And then we know how to move, and then you know how to move, and we know how we can negotiate or what you can do and what you can't do. So it's really important, I feel, is getting a pre-approval for yourself and educating yourself. And then I come into place where I educate you on the location, the school, the churches, all, where you want to be, walkable cities, or what your criteria is. And we at Dobie and at my Sandra Beshany Home Group, we do all price ranges. We treat a home that's $200,000, that's $2 million, that's $3 million, that's $500 the same. We give white glove service across the board. We will make the transaction as smooth and as easy for you as humanly possible. We deal with everybody, with every situation.
I will attest to that on her behalf. She did that for a couple of my clients who were going through a really hard time. Just not, the uncertainty of, can I afford this? What area do I want to be in? And one of them is on one of the best streets now in Birmingham.
Yes.
Thanks to Sandra's involvement.
And she came from Northville initially. So we do every city. And she had a couple $1 million house, but when she was by herself, she couldn't afford that anymore. So we had to downsize, and we had to look for something that was going to fit her by herself. And you have to take all that stuff into account. So it was a really...
But having that professional work with you really takes the fear element out of it. Yeah. And so knowledge is power. And that way you start early.
G.I. Joe, and knowing's half the battle, G.I. Joe, right? I want to say this too real quick. Because oftentimes it starts backwards, right? Like we're talking about. They find the house first, then they want to bring in the money person, right? And we have to be first because we're the ones that are going to draw the map and tell you what we need to find, right? And answer those questions, right? What can you afford? What are you comfortable with? All that stuff. But pulling your credit, it's less than 1. So if you picture 100%, pulling your credit is less than 1% effect on your actual credit score. So have your credit pulled, be okay with it. We can also do soft pulls. You have to know what your credit is to qualify.
Hey guys, we got a call to get to, and let's go to Tony out in Southfield. Tony, you're live on 97.1 The Ticket. Just be quick. Go ahead, Tone.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Love y'all show. Just want to ask a quick question. So I got less than 10 years left on my 15-year mortgage. I was wondering, is there any way possible I could stretch it out to 20 years to bring my monthly payment down now?
So you got yourself a 15-year fixed, and you're considering it's just a little bit too much. You bit off a little bit too much per month, and you want to reach back out to the servicer of your loan and ask them if they can modify your mortgage. I bet with great credit, they might be willing to do that for a small fee. It's not a for sure because you might be forced to refinance it, but you don't necessarily want to give away that great interest rate you have. Am I correct?
That is correct, because I bought it in 2020 at probably one of the lowest points, so I definitely don't want to get rid of that.
But I'm assuming the taxes, though, right? That's what's killing you on that payment, right? Is the taxes assessed?
Correct.
Yeah.
I wish you went to bid off so much because that's another thing. You can get a 20-year mortgage and always prepay it, especially then with the interest rates in 2020 being so low. There's a strong possibility you might not be able to, but there's no way you're going to refinance it because then you're going to take yourself out of that great interest rate you have on the 15-year.
But at the same time, though, like if you are in a position where you cannot afford your life, right, because the taxes have reassessed, now your payment is what it is, we might need to possibly look at extending that term a little bit to give you some breathing room. And that's okay too, right? There's no shame in that. We can't romanticize the idea of a lower rate if we can't afford what we're living in, right? And so I appreciate the call, and we're definitely going to call you after. I just think it's important to kind of run those numbers because I feel like this is a thing that's happening, right?
Yeah, totally.
We have that romanticizing of this lower interest rate, but now I can't afford my life, so now I'm jacking up my credit cards. So
all right, that music says we've got about 45 seconds here to wrap this whole thing up. You guys are awesome. We can keep going here. I know that you guys don't want to leave.
Oh, this was so much fun.
We love it.
Nasli, we'll start off with you. Nasli, thanks for coming in. One of the great attorneys here in the area. If you need a divorce attorney, Nasli Sater, she can definitely help you. Warner Law Office out in Bloomfield Hills. Just call us at Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll get you set up with all the great people. Sandra, you're fabulous. Love meeting you again. Sandra and I just met about 4 months ago.
Yes.
We've got a lot going on.
Yes.
And if you need a great real estate agent, check out Sandra Beshany and her team over at Dobie Real Estate. Her assistant joined us this morning, Nancy, so thank you for coming in also. And for the great Becky Alley, top 1% of all originators. We will all see you next week here. Keep it on 97.1 The Ticket. Pat Caputo comes up with sports. I'm Harvey Freed. See you next Saturday.
That was awesome.
That was so fun.
That was such an experience.